All right, so Thanksgiving is coming up soon.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what that means.
Turkey.
Exactly. It's time to tackle the culinary centerpiece, the turkey.
It's a big one.
Yeah. So today we're going to be doing a deep dive into Gordon Ramsay's Thanksgiving turkey recipe.
Oh, nice.
We've got his YouTube video all queued up and ready to analyze.
That sounds good.
So get ready to uncover some of the surprising twists that take this classic dish to a whole new level.
All right, I'm ready.
I think one of the first things that stood out to me when I was watching the video was Ramsay's relentless focus on moisture.
Yeah, it's almost an obsession.
It's true.
Yeah.
He mentions it constantly throughout the video. Why is that? I mean, we all know turkey can be a bit dry if you're not careful, but he seems to have a real strategy.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, it's not just about avoiding dryness. It's about achieving this level of succulence that you just rarely find in a home-cooked turkey.
Yeah.
And he does this through a combination of techniques. For example, have you ever heard of placing herb-infused butter under the skin of a turkey?
I've heard of putting butter on top,
Okay.
but never under the skin.
Yeah.
What's the point of that?
So think of it as a flavor infusion from within.
Okay.
So he creates this incredibly aromatic butter with lemon zest juice, pureed garlic, and fresh parsley, and then carefully separates the skin from the breast meat to slip it underneath.
Wow, okay.
It's brilliant.
So I'm starting to see how he builds those layers of flavor.
Yeah.
But it doesn't stop there, does it? What about that stuffing he puts inside the turkey?
Oh, yeah. The stuffing itself is quite simple.
Okay.
Onions, lemon bay leaves.
Simple.
But its purpose is twofold.
Okay.
First, it adds another dimension of aroma to the turkey as it roasts. And second, it helps to keep the breast meat moist from the inside out.
Oh, okay. So that's another moisture element.
Exactly.
And then on top of that, there's bacon.
Oh, yeah. Gotta love the bacon.
He drapes smoked, streaky bacon over the breast, which I'm assuming isn't just for the deliciousness factor.
You're right. It adds that smoky flavor and beautiful color. But it also acts as a shield to protect the breast meat from drying out in the oven.
Oh, okay.
Plus, that rendered bacon fat contributes to the incredible gravy later on.
Oh, yeah. We've got to talk about that gravy.
Wow, the gravy.
I mean, his approach is a revelation.
Oh, absolutely.
He really takes it to another level.
For sure. So he starts with the rendered bacon and turkey fat as a base.
Okay.
Then incorporates the roasted onions, lemon, and rosemary from the cavity. He even throws in some chopped tomatoes for freshness and depth.
Wow.
But here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
He deglazes the pan with dry cider.
Deglazing.
Yeah.
For those of us who might not be familiar with that term, can you break that down a bit?
Of course. So deglazing is a technique where you use a liquid, in this case dry cider, to loosen up all those flavorful bits that get stuck to the bottom of the pan after roasting. It just adds another layer of complexity to the gravy. Yeah. And that subtle apple sweetness from the cider complements the turkey beautifully.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And then, of course, he adds the resting juices from the turkey.
Oh, yes. Gotta have that.
Which, if I remember correctly, rests for a whopping 2.5 hours.
Yes, the resting time. This is another key element in Ramsay's quest for the ultimate moist turkey.
Okay.
We'll dive deeper into the science behind it later.
Okay.
But for now, just imagine those juices being reabsorbed back into the meat.
Yeah.
Resulting in an incredibly tender and flavorful turkey.
And to top it all off, he adds a surprising ingredient to the gravy boat itself.
Crushed walnuts.
Crushed walnuts.
Crushed walnuts.
Yeah, I never would have thought of that.
It might seem unexpected, but they add a wonderful texture and richness to the gravy.
Oh,
it's like he's thought of every detail right down to the very last bite.
Now, you mentioned that we'll be talking more about that 2.5-hour resting time.
Yeah.
What's so special about it? I have to admit, I was a bit skeptical when I first heard about it.
Well, get ready to be surprised because that resting period is not just some arbitrary chef's whim.
Okay.
It's rooted in science.
Okay.
It has everything to do with muscle fibers, proteins, and the breakdown of connective tissue.
Okay.
We'll break it all down in the next part of our deep dive.
All right. I can't wait.
Welcome back to our deep dive into Gordon Ramsay's Thanksgiving turkey.
Now, you mentioned something about the science behind that 2.5-hour resting time.
Yes.
I have to admit, I'm still a little baffled by that.
Yeah,
Wouldn't the turkey get cold?
It's a common misconception
Okay.
that extended resting time is crucial for achieving a tender and juicy turkey.
Go.
So remember those muscle fibers we talked about? When meat is cooked, those fibers contract and squeeze out moisture.
So the longer it rests, the more relaxed those fibers become.
Exactly.
Allowing them to reabsorb those flavorful juices.
It's like giving the turkey a chance to chill out after a workout. And as the muscle fibers relax, they also start to break down some of that tough connective tissue, resulting in a more tender texture.
That's fascinating. It's like a little science experiment happening right on your countertop.
It is.
But 2.5 hours still seems like an awfully long time.
Yeah.
Is there any risk of the turkey getting cold?
Not really. A large bird, like a turkey, retains heat remarkably well.
Okay.
Especially if you tent it with foil while it rests.
Okay.
Plus, you're going to be busy making the gravy and prepping the side dishes, so that time will fly by.
Okay, you've convinced me I'm definitely trying this long resting time this year.
Yeah.
But let's shift gears a bit and talk about some of Ramsay's other techniques.
Okay.
I was particularly intrigued by his approach to roasting the turkey.
Oh, yeah. It's all about creating that perfectly golden brown, crispy skin while ensuring that the meat cooks evenly without drying out.
Right.
So he starts by blasting the turkey at a high temperature,
Oh, God.
425 degrees Fahrenheit to be exact,
Wow, that's hot.
for the first 10 minutes.
Okay. Why such intense heat right off the bat?
That initial blast of heat is key to achieving that beautiful color and crispness that we all crave in a roast turkey.
Yeah.
It essentially kickstarts the browning process, creating a flavorful crust that seals in the juices.
So it's like searing a steak.
Exactly.
You get that initial caramelization on the outside,
right.
but then you lower the heat to cook it through.
Precisely so. After those first 10 minutes, he lowers the oven temperature to 350 degrees Fahrenheit for the remainder of the cooking time.
Okay.
This gently heat ensures that the turkey cooks through evenly without drying out.
It's like a perfectly orchestrated dance.
It is.
Between high heat and gentle heat,
Yeah.
all working together to create the ultimate roast.
I like that analogy.
Now let's not forget about basting.
Oh, yeah, basting.
Ramsay seems to be a big proponent of basting the turkey throughout the cooking process.
Basting is crucial for maintaining moisture and adding another layer of flavor. So each time you baste, you're essentially giving the turkey a little drink of its own juices.
Okay.
Which have been infused with all those herbs and aromatics from the butter and the stuffing.
Yeah, and it creates that beautiful glistening effect on the skin,
right,
making it look even more appetizing.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've covered the main course, but what about the side dishes?
Oh, the sides.
Ramsay doesn't just stick to the traditional Thanksgiving fare, does he?
Absolutely not. He puts his own unique spin on everything.
Okay.
Adding unexpected twists that elevate the side dishes beyond the ordinary.
Like what?
Well, take his spiced roast potatoes, for example.
Okay.
Instead of just plain old roasted potatoes, he adds chili flakes and turmeric to the mix.
Chili flakes in roast potatoes. Now, that's a surprise. I wouldn't have thought to put those two together.
Yeah, it's unexpected, but it works.
What's the thinking behind that?
It's all about adding complexity and depth of flavor.
Right.
The chili flakes provide a subtle kick of heat, while the turmeric adds an earthy warmth and that beautiful golden yellow color.
So it's like a flavor and visual thing.
Exactly. Ramsay even describes turmeric as having a lovely earthy taste.
I can just imagine the aroma of those potatoes roasting in the oven mingling with the scent of the turkey.
Oh, yeah.
It must be heavenly.
It is.
And what about stuffing? Does he stick to the classic bread-based stuffing, or does he get a little adventurous there too?
Ramsay definitely takes a more adventurous approach with his stuffing.
Okay.
He creates a chestnut stuffing with wild rice, pine nuts, and herbs.
Wow.
It's a hearty and flavorful side that offers a delicious alternative to the traditional bread stuffing.
Chestnuts, wild rice, pine nuts.
Yeah.
Those are some interesting choices.
Yeah.
What do those ingredients bring to the table flavor-wise?
Well, chestnuts have a slightly sweet, nutty flavor that pairs beautifully with the earthy wild rice and the richness of the pine nuts.
Okay.
It's a textural and flavorful experience that's sure to impress your guests.
Now, I also noticed that he includes a recipe for a deboned chicken stuffed with similar ingredients.
Yeah, that's right.
What's the purpose of that?
It's all about options and abundance.
Okay.
Which is what Thanksgiving is all about, right?
Right.
The stuffed chicken could serve as a smaller alternative to the turkey for a smaller gathering.
Okay.
Or it could be an additional dish for a larger feast.
Oh, okay. So it's kind of like choose your own adventure.
Exactly. Either way, it's a delicious and impressive addition to the Thanksgiving table.
It's like he's saying, here's a Thanksgiving feast that's fit for a king or a queen.
Exactly. And speaking of fit for royalty, let's not forget Ramsay's luxurious take on the turkey.
Oh, yes.
Where he incorporates a very special ingredient, truffle butter,
The truffle indulgence, that's one part of the recipe that really caught my attention.
Oh, yeah.
I've always been fascinated by truffles and their unique flavor, but I have to admit, I've never cooked with them myself. They seem a bit intimidating.
They can be, but Ramsay makes it seem so approachable.
Okay.
He simply pipes that truffle butter under the skin of the turkey,
Okay.
ensuring that that subtle, earthy truffle flavor permeates throughout the meat. And then he sprinkles citrus breadcrumbs on top for a crispy, flavorful crust.
Citrus breadcrumbs. That's an interesting touch.
Yeah, it is.
What do they add to the dish?
The citrus breadcrumbs add a bright, tangy flavor that contrasts beautifully with the richness of the truffle butter.
Yeah.
It's all about balance, you see.
Yeah.
Ramsay is a master of combining flavors and textures in a way that creates a truly unforgettable culinary experience.
So to recap, we've got the science-backed resting time, the perfectly orchestrated roasting technique, the flavorful basting, and the surprising side dish twists.
It's a lot.
What I'm really taking away from this is Ramsay's incredible attention to detail
Yeah.
and his passion for creating a truly exceptional Thanksgiving feast.
I agree. It's not just about following a recipe. It's about understanding the why behind each step and taking the time to make each element shine.
And speaking of making things shine,
Oh, yeah.
let's move on to the final part of our deep dive.
Okay.
Where we'll explore the art of carving, plating, and presenting this Thanksgiving masterpiece.
All right, let's do it.
We've explored all the secrets behind Gordon Ramsay's incredibly moist and flavorful Thanksgiving turkey.
Yeah.
From the science of resting to the art of basting.
Mm-hmm.
But now comes the moment of truth,
All right.
presenting this culinary masterpiece to our eager guests.
Yeah, presentation's often overlooked,
Right.
but it plays such a crucial role in that overall dining experience.
Yeah, for sure.
It's about transforming a simple meal to a visual feast.
Right.
It tantalizes the senses and sets the stage for a really memorable occasion.
And Ramsay, being the master showman that he is, understands this implicitly.
Oh, yeah.
He has some really clever techniques for carving and plating that elevate the entire presentation.
For sure, one detail that really stood out to me was his approach to the wishbone.
Oh, yeah.
He actually removes it before roasting the turkey.
Hold on. He removes the wishbone.
Yeah.
Why would he do that?
It's a brilliant move.
Okay.
So by removing the wishbone beforehand, he eliminates that awkward struggle of trying to carve around it later on.
Makes sense.
It makes carving that breast meat so much easier and more elegant.
Okay.
He simply makes a small incision around the bone and gently pulls it out.
It's like he's performing surgery on the turkey.
A little bit, yeah.
But it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
It streamlines the whole carving process.
Exactly.
So once that wishbone is out of the way,
Yeah.
how does he tackle the rest of the bird?
So he starts by removing the legs and wings,
Okay.
and then he carefully slices the breast meat against the grain.
Okay.
Now, this is crucial for achieving tender, bite-sized pieces that are easy to eat.
I've heard about cutting meat against the grain.
Right.
But I've never really understood why it's so important.
Yeah, so when you cut meat against the grain, you're essentially shortening those muscle fibers.
Okay.
Making them less tough and more palatable.
So it's really a simple technique
It is.
that can make a huge difference in the tenderness.
Exactly.
Okay, that's a great tip. So once the turkey's carved, how does Ramsay arrange it on the platter?
Does he just pile it all on? No, Ramsay's all about creating a visually stunning presentation.
Okay.
So he arranges those carved turkey pieces artfully on a platter,
Okay.
creating a beautiful mosaic of white and dark meat.
Ooh.
And he doesn't forget about those crispy golden brown pieces of skin.
Oh, yeah.
He strategically places them throughout the arrangement, adding texture and visual appeal.
Okay, I can just picture it.
Right.
Platter piled high with succulent turkey glistening with those delicious juices, those crispy skin pieces, adding a touch of rustic elegance.
Absolutely. And of course, no Thanksgiving turkey is complete without a generous helping of gravy.
Of course not.
And Ramsay doesn't disappoint in the gravy department.
I bet not.
He ladles that luscious walnut-studded gravy into a beautiful gravy boat,
Oh, nice.
making sure it's perfectly positioned on the table, ready to be passed around and savored.
I love it. The gravy boat itself becomes a centerpiece,
Yeah.
adding a touch of tradition and elegance to the Thanksgiving table.
Right. It's all about creating that sense of occasion, of gathering loved ones together to share a meal that's been prepared with care and attention.
And that's what Thanksgiving is all about, isn't it?
I think so.
It's more than just a meal.
Right.
It's a time-honored tradition that's deeply rooted in history and culture. It's a time to express gratitude for the blessings in our lives, to reconnect with family and friends, and to celebrate the abundance of the harvest season.
Yeah, it's a time to put aside our differences.
Right.
Gather around a shared table and simply enjoy each other's company.
And what better way to do that than with a feast?
I know, right?
That's been prepared with a kind of passion and attention to detail that Gordon Ramsay has shown us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So as we conclude our deep dive into Gordon Ramsay's Thanksgiving turkey, I'm left feeling incredibly inspired to create my own Thanksgiving masterpiece this year.
Me too.
I'm ready to embrace the science, the artistry, and the heart that goes into making this holiday so special.
And remember,
What's that?
it's not about perfection. It's about the joy of cooking, the pleasure of sharing, and the memories you create with loved ones.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.